Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Luke.
And in today's video, we are reviewing The Shrink Next Door on Apple TV Plus, episode 1 to 3. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video. I'll start off with a summary of the show to, I guess, let you know if it's worth watching the first 3 episodes. So basically the concept of the show is it's based on a true story, so these events actually happen. So Will Ferrell character is basically, we know something has happened based on the first 10 or 15 minutes from the episode, because it starts in 2010. Paul Rudd has this fancy house, and then it goes back to the 1980s. So from then, Will Ferrell character's taking over his parents' business, and he's a likable person and a likable character, but he hasn't got the self-esteem to handle the position. And then his sister thinks it's worth going to see the psychiatrist played by Paul Rudd. And this is how they first meet, and you can see how the events intertwine to 2010. How did I miss anything, Luke? Or
no, I think that's a good summary of the first 3 episodes. So interestingly, Apple TV chose to drop 3 episodes last Friday. To give us kind of a teaser, and then now we're getting episodes weekly. So the new episode comes out today. So we've done this video we thought it's a good opportunity to watch the first 3 and then see what we think if we're going to continue. If we're going to continue watching it. So based on the 3 episodes we've seen so far, are you likely to continue with this series?
Yeah, I want to see what happens with how the events unfold, and how the story, just how Paul Rudd as the psychiatrist gets his mittens into Will Ferrell's fortune.
Mm-hmm. I would say I'm going to continue watching it. I'm not loving it, but I want to know what happens. So that's what keeps me going. And I guess that leads into one of the things that you thought was interesting, that the timeline, how it starts in 2008. 18?
10.
Yeah, 2000, and then it moves backwards, and you're kind of wondering why they would do that in the timeline. But I think it's because they want us to
not be confused.
We'll know that something is coming, and to keep watching to find out. Because it is based on a true story, we could look it up, but I don't want to. I don't want to ruin it and go into a rabbit hole of finding out what happens and then watching the show and looking for it. I actually do want a surprise, so that's why I haven't looked into it. But that's what's kept me wanting to watch it, because without that, knowing that something big happens, I don't know if I would be excited to continue, because it's not a lot is happening, and it's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a comedy, and it's not. So because of that mystery, that's keeping me good, but otherwise it probably wouldn't be.
Yeah.
What have you liked about it so far?
I would say that wanting to know what the event is going to transpire, the mystery part, like you said, and also the chemistry between Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. I think they nailed those 2 casting options. I don't imagine anyone else being those 2, and I think seeing the progress of Will Ferrell change, but he just thinks it's because of Paul Rudd as a psychiatrist. I think it's just amazing to see how the bubble effect of how the first episode with the exchange over the money, that was the catalyst. Now it's going to move to eviler things.
Yeah. I agree. I think the casting was good. I think Will Ferrell plays the this character of being, like shy and taken advantage of quite well. He's played that in quite a few movies, I think, as well. It's not an uncommon character for him to portray that. And I do think Paul Rudd's character, in most roles, he kind of oozes confidence for me, and I think it suits him. And I think it's well cast. No one really sticks out to me that may have been a better alternative. I always find it hard to try and think if you could replace actors, who would they be? Maybe something like Jason Bateman sticks out as maybe could be the psychiatrist. It wouldn't be near as good, but he possibly could see him playing that role. Replacing Will Ferrell, no one pops out to me.
No.
What's been your favourite part of it so
far? Maybe like seeing the myths and seeing how people and how human beings work, and seeing the motives between the sister, the psychiatrist, the girl that the girlfriend that Will Ferrell was dating, just seeing how people work in the show.
Have you got a favourite character so far?
Probably Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it'd be hard not to. It does centre him. In the beginning, I was really liking Paul Rudd's character, but now I'm seeing he's a bit more sinister, and I'm starting to dislike him because of that.
Well, we haven't learnt his backstory, really. He seems too good to be true, and I guess that was a clever thing to do. There's more mystery to him, so we don't really... All we know is that he didn't come from a rich background and Will Ferrell did, so I guess we don't really know what the alternate motive is, because it only really seems like he sees two patients we've seen so far.
Yeah. I do like that they've got us seeing it kind of from two perspectives. We've got... we're seeing, especially Paul Rudd's character, we see that he does want to do good and he does help people. He's a well-renowned therapist. He's on the board of universities, he's written in medical journals, he's been in the newspaper. He is good at what he does, but he's somehow seen the money that comes from Will Ferrell, and that's kind of changed his mindset. Like, I don't know if he had the intention of doing that, but something about him he's seen, and he's unintentionally, I think, starting to take advantage of a situation, and then obviously that greed probably overpowers him, and that's where his downfall is. But you can see I seeing it from both ways. He had good intentions, but it starts to change, and I guess which happens quite often with a lot of people in the world. They start off doing a good thing, and then greed can overpower them. So I think that's possibly going to be the message of this show, or surrounding greed. And I guess that builds onto that dynamic of Will Ferrell's character and his sister. That is she good? Is she bad? Does she have his best wishes at hand? Like, is she a manipulator as well? What do you think about that so far from the 3 episodes I've seen?
I think she has good intentions, but I think she definitely does want the money, and kind of makes him out to be wants to be his parent, and all the stuff they did say, but what I think was true.
Yeah, I think she's in some way taking advantage of him, but she does have his best intentions at heart, but she mothers him, opposed to being a sister, encouraging him, instead of saying, hey, take a risk, make a mistake, and we'll pick up, we'll do it again. She's like, no, don't do it. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to make a mistake. So she is doing it to help him, but she's preventing him from growing. Yeah, so we were talking about the sister, and I think that her intentions are good, but she's preventing him from growing. What are your thoughts on the sister?
I think she tries her best, but she definitely brings him down, and kind of she was the main catalyst for him to see the psychiatrist. He didn't even want to, so I guess part of it is kind of on her, and she kind of is the sister, but is also the mother as well. It's kind of strange.
One character that intrigues me is the wife of the therapist. I feel that he kind of puts her down and doesn't want her to grow, even though his job is to help people move forward in life. She wants to go to school, but he doesn't want her to. So, which I think is really interesting, given the way he talks and speaks to the people he works with. I also think the way he approaches therapy, I think maybe for the TV purposes, they take it to another level and make it more extreme than actually how he would talk to people. Because I think he gives a lot of advice, which a therapist doesn't usually do a lot of advice giving. But I think for TV purposes, it makes it a bit better. Where do you see the show going now that we've seen 3 episodes?
I guess them, Paul Rudd, being the psychiatrist, will try and help him develop his social skills and confidence and create more of a divide between the sister. And then obvious something has happened with the house, and maybe they go into business or something together, because I believe the next episode they do go into business. So I guess Paul Rudd kind of does some embezzling or something, kind of steals the money, something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking, so he's going to go work for him, and I reckon maybe the employees will come to like him, and Will Ferrell will start to feel, or he'll start to do something silly, and then, or like make bad decisions, and then Paul Rudd's character will say, oh, well, Will, like, you're not in the right frame of mind to do this, like, let me take over, I'll look after the business for you, just like he said about the house and all these other problems. So I think you'll just continually convince him to, like, it's all right, leave it to me, give me all the responsibility and I'll do it. And to a point where he'll kind of control him and own everything. And I think that's where it will go. Again, this is something people could look up, but we're choosing not to. We're going to have a guess at it. What do you think is with the scene where in the first episode, where he's digging the hole, he's putting in the animal sculptures that the therapist pointed out in the episode. He goes, I'm going to buy those one day. So he buries those, and then we see the blood. Do you think the blood is of someone else, or maybe it's like blood from digging? Like maybe he's just cut his own hand. Like what do you think there is to know about that?
It's quite curious. It could be his own blood, but it could also be blood of Paul Rudd's character, or could be anyone's.
I have a feeling it's just from digging, because if you killed someone and you dug a hole, wouldn't you put the body in it? Why would you choose to bury sculptures? So I have a feeling it's nothing too sinister, but I think that they want you to think that, so we have these discussions and we think maybe he's a murderer, but where it's just probably his own blood. You have any questions for me or other discussion points?
Did you also pick up in episode 1 that when Paul Rudd's character is trying to get the photo with the celebrity, that the first one was struggling, and then he asked the second one, and you could clearly tell that it was Will Ferrell's character, but they didn't want to show it?
You mentioned to me that the other day, and I didn't, and I haven't gone back to check it out. I guess I wonder, how did he sneak into the party and take the photos without being noticed?
I don't know. I guess Paul Rudd just forgot who he looked like, because we're seeing how he's a great photo taker. So it makes sense that was him.
Oh yeah, that does add up, because we do see in the 3rd episode his photography skills.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something I didn't pick up on. Also, it could have been something they've added that didn't actually happen in real life, but they've done it for the sake of the show. Because they did say it's based on true events with some adjustments for like cinematic purposes. So maybe that could be one of those.
Yeah.
Any nitpicks or things you would like to see differently or change?
I guess the main problem is with the show is that if you were coming in with different frame of mind coming into the show like Luke, thinking that it was going to be a comedy, more uplifting, trying to, I guess, better someone, you might not like it as much. And if you don't like Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell, the story might not be good enough to attract or benefit you from watching. But you could also go, well, if you like Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell, you might still want to watch it, and the storyline is more of a mystery than a comedy, so...
Yeah, it's definitely not a comedy that has funny elements, but I think if you like these actors, it's enough to keep you engaged because their performances are quite good and you can see that they are the right people for these characters. It's just, it was different than I thought, which isn't bad. I guess we know that it's going to be a limited series. Obviously, there's not multiple seasons to this thing, which is exciting. I quite like a limited series. I know you do. Yeah. I'm definitely going to continue watching it. At the moment, rating-wise, probably too hard to give one because I don't know where it's going to go. But I feel like the show is going to, from this episode that comes out today, it's probably going to amp up. So it's probably, I think we're going to start to really see what it's about.
Yeah. If I probably had to give a rating from episode 1 to 3, maybe it's like around the 3 mark. Like it does its best to intrigue you with the story, but if you're not into kind of someone being rich and having to take up the mantle of taking over the company, and you know, if you're not into those sort of stories, you might not like it as much. It's definitely not for everyone.
I totally agree.
I guess the one thing that we were discussing before would have liked them to do it different is maybe swap timelines, like maybe have it be set in the 80s and then like have him, like, we know he's been sinister and then we get to see the dramatic thing that happens instead of us knowing that that's the house that he has in 2010. It's like we're finding out what's kind of leading up to it instead of being, you know, oh, what's happening.
Yeah, I think differently. I like the way it's set up, but I guess it depends on how you view things and everyone has a different opinion.
Yeah.
But I like that it's that way because otherwise I would still, up to this point, I would probably be still seeing Paul Rudd's character as a good guy. It's only that we've seen that little snippet of the future do I know that he's sinister. So that's why I like it. I think if we watched it and let's say you started watching the show and skipped that scene, I think you'd have a very different perspective of what's going to happen moving forward with the show.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for helping, Luke. Hope you're enjoying The Shrink Next Door so far. Like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.